Everybody, welcome to Stockradar Stocks on the Move. Today's date is the 7th of November 2024. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website for you. Well, today's topic is risk. We don't really understand it until we do. It should cut your losses. That means you don't take them. It should lock in your profits, and that means you don't lose them. So that's what it's all a bit about when we're trading today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go through the market today, as we go through the stocks today, and have a little discussion on risk and how we can manage it the best way. And it's also about taking profits as well. Okay, but firstly, what I want to do is go to the top, some of the top trend intensity ratings. We've got Aristocrat at the top, Capricorn Minerals, Net Wealth there. We'll have a chat about that in a second. Prometheus is still going on. Qantas is doing very nicely against all odds. Linus is starting to break out. Pruis is looking okay. Might be in trouble a bit today with the gold price. RE is going higher nicely, so is Telex, and AMP's bounced out of its trading range, which has been an interesting move there. Net Wealth is an interesting stock. We did review this probably a month or so ago, into September. I want to talk a little bit about expectations of what prices can do, and how we shouldn't have expectations and that stocks can't make certain gains. When we look at stocks like Prometheus at $200, those expectations we really want to knock out and not consider them. Price levels are an interesting thing. I'm more interested in price action. And when I look at the Net Wealth stock, when we reviewed it last September, it was down under $26, around about $25. But since then, it's jumped another 11%. It's up around $28, just over 28. So all of a sudden, the stock is moving higher again still. These things can happen. It can go a lot higher yet if it wants to, because that's what trends do. So overall, Net Wealth's up 29%. 11% in the last month or so, and it was continuing high, and we can see some great volume there. We can see some great momentum, so there's no reason why it shouldn't move higher after breaking out to that new all-time high. And we know a little friend of his called Hub24 is also doing similar things as well, so that pocket of the market is very, very strong. So as I say, talk about expectations of what stocks can do. Don't have them, because we're always going to be wrong anyway. The stock market always does surprise us. Okay, so we look at stocks like PME, T&E, CBA, which has always surprised us all. I want to talk a little bit about Domino's. Now, it's been an interesting stock because it's been both up and down over the years, so this can work both ways. So if I look at Domino's over the history, it's been started around $2, it went up to 77, back to 36, up to 162, back to 31. Well, it's not an infrequent occurrence. This sort of thing happens. So don't get comfortable. Be vigilant and listen to your stop. It can save you and make you a lot of money. Okay, so we can get a lot of these swings in the markets because they do happen, and we don't sit there and say, "I couldn't possibly do that," or "I couldn't possibly get to that high," because it can. So how far do you think Aristocrat will go? Well, it's trending high. It keeps going higher every week. There's been very few corrections. We're going to have a look at it in a second. So I don't know. Do you know where it's going to go? Well, we've been looking at it week after week, and higher it goes. Will it be the one that's really going to be like a Prometheus? I don't really know, but it does trend very well. So these are questions we're always asking, but realistically, we just need to manage our trades as per our trade plan, and that's what we do. So rather than having expectations of what it can and can't do, we just sit there. Like today, the world could be falling down around us at the moment after what happened last night, but we just go about our business pretty well blinkered and focused on what we do. Okay, so we take our entry signals, listen to our stops with disciplined prowess is what we've got to do. Okay, so the trailing stop, which I use as my big tool, doesn't care what you think. Okay, the stock market will always surprise us. So why do we listen to ourselves? I don't know. So this is my little spiel about, trying to be focused on what the trade plan does, because not only do we always get surprised, the markets do things that we don't expect. Okay, so let's get to the stock pick count. Having said all that stuff, stock pick count is actually down this week to 64 from 178. We've lost 2 stocks. So stocks themselves are 48. Stock picks are 153. Still that narrow band of stocks, so that we know the banks and the big stocks are driving it, and all the little minnows are really not doing much at all. Some are, but a lot of them aren't. Okay, so that's the stock pick count. Now I want to get to the overseas markets, and here's the interesting stocks from last night. And we can see the Dow ramped up through its high, and it's made a new high last night, up hundreds and hundreds of points. But it looks fantastic. Again, this is just following the trend. Usually when you get a trend, the upside surprises come in the upside. So this is what the Dow's doing. It's made new highs. last night. And we look at the Nasdaq, it's also punched through its high and making new highs. Come on, up you come. There it is, Nasdaq. So it's punched up to its high. It had a bit of a correction back to that support level, found good support, and we really have seen a really solid last sort of 2 months here of green bars pushing this market higher again. And again, it's moved up into new high territory last night. And the S&P, the broader one, it's just made new high after new high, and again, it's made another new high last night. Look at the volumes here. Even this selling volume that did drive the market down, the buyers came straight back in. So this is very strong trending behaviour when we see selling appear like that, and the buyers come back in and just ramp it higher. So, those indices are all looking very strong of last night. Our market, it just continues to plod along. It's making new highs. It's having nice little pullbacks along the way. It's a steady mover. Again, driven by some of those big banks and things like that. But underlying it, there's some other good stock picks that we can isolate that perhaps don't necessarily follow exactly what the ASX 200 does. But the fact is, it's making new highs after new highs, and that's a good sign, just like the overseas markets. Okay, now we get to the commodities, which is a bit different last night. These aren't quite updated. They're a bit later from the indices. So copper came off a bit last night, but we're not too worried. There's no real change in this. The long-term picture, as you know, is quite bullish if we can get through this R1 level. But for the moment, it's struggling because it is a big resistance level at the moment. So we're just hoping that eventually we'll be able to get through there. And big copper stocks like BHP will start to have a bit of a run, and Rio and things like that. So, but for the moment, they're not doing it. So we just be patient and wait for their time. The next one is gold, which I think came down about $75 last night. So it's had a bit of a big pullback. It's down around here, around 265 somewhere, which is not huge in the scheme of things. We've had a huge rally from 2,000 to nearly to 2,800. So it's come off a bit last night. Probably not a bad thing. Bitcoin's gone through the roof last night. Gold's come down. The markets are a bit all over the shop at the moment, but so the golds will probably struggle a little bit today, but it's certainly not a huge dent in this huge uptrend at the moment. Then we go to Brent crude, which is just struggling to hold its support there. I think it's off a little bit last night, nothing significant, but it really is, the pressure still down on Brent crude, which we've been looking at week after week. So no matter what happens in the world, when we look at a chart, it kind of makes puts things in perspective and makes sense to us. And despite all the geopolitical upheaval, crude has been going down for quite a few years. Okay, so that's the overseas markets. Having a look at those. Now we're going to get to stocks. So firstly, Aristocrat Leisure, which I said we'd have a look at. We looked at last week. Look at Suncorp, T&E, IAG, EVM been a bit flat. Qantas, TPW, all done well this week. The stock market will always surprise us. So all trending stocks we looked at last week have stayed pretty strong, those ones we looked at. So as I said, the stock market, like with stocks like Qantas, always does surprise us, and we never know what's going to happen now. Now Aristocrat here, again, what I'm really focusing on, we've had a big break to new highs here, which we can see way back from a few years ago. And here's the break here, above $48. It's now $63 and rising. Trend intensity rating is 8. It'll probably move to 10 this week. We've got our stop down here, which will also lift this week. That's set from last week's close, which is up here. The stock is up 27%. So how much more are we going to get out of this? We really don't know. All we do is follow that trend with our trailing stop, which does two things. It initially made sure we didn't take any loss. Now it's going to lock in our profits as we go up. Okay, and you're going to see a couple more stocks that I've already stopped out at before as to how we handle it when the stop goes off. So we're just following Aristocrat. It's doing very well. We've got some fantastic volume coming through here. Momentum's terrific. The moving average well above the moving average, and the stop is just edging higher each week on this one as it moves higher. And you can see here from here to here we've had very little pullback at all. A couple of red bars, but they've hardly even come back down below the previous week's opening price. So a really, really strong market, Aristocrat, at the moment. Okay, so the next one I want to have a look at is, I want to go through a couple of stops because I'm talking about trailing stop and risk today. That's a beautiful tool called the trailing stop, which really is a gift to us all, because when it's used properly, it works very well. So if we look at Goodman Group, Okay, so we have a look at this stock here. So we jumped on, so again, we don't get bottoms and we don't get tops. We just jump on trend. So here we've got a new high here, triggered by, a new high that's been triggered. So we jump on this stock here, it rallies high and comes back and goes below our stop. So at that point there, we jump off and we lock in our profit and we're happy with that. We don't really know what's going to happen and we don't really care, or we shouldn't care, because what happens is really neither here nor there. I've locked in my profit. I wait for this now to either go down, go sideways, or go back up. It started to go sideways and then went straight back to the highs, and we thought, hello, it's going to go straight through, which I would rebuy if it did, but it hasn't. It's hesitated there for 4 or 5 weeks, and it may not go through. I don't really know. But the thing is, I'm comfortable, I'm neutral, I've banked my profit, and I can just wait for the next move, because that's a whole separate trade that I'm going to do. It's got nothing to do with what I've done before. So Goodman Group, we'll watch this one. There's a couple of nice green bars through here. But really it hasn't broken through those highs, so I have no re-entry signal on Goodman Group. But I do know I've taken a big fat profit out of here, which is fantastic. Wesfarmers is similar. It had a nice reversal back here in September last year, so we've had like a 1-year trade on this one, a 12 months trade. It rallied nicely, a bit of a consolidation which it broke out of and continued high and looked very good, and then all of a sudden this has happened and now it's declined below my stop loss, so the trend is in. So again, I don't pick the top, I don't pick the bottom, I just jump on and take a chunk of trend, and this is quite a good chunk of trend from $52 to $68, and that's in a 12-month period. So that's a nice little return on my investment. I'm now neutral. I now wait to see what happens with stock market. So with Wesfarmers, it may go down, it may go sideways, it may go back up again, and we'll deal with that when it happens. But for the moment, I've banked my profit, I'm neutral, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with Wesfarmers at the moment. I am nothing to do there. Okay, so that is Goodman and Group and Wesfarmers, a couple of big profits we took. It doesn't always happen that way. Okay, so we want to have a look at the one here that doesn't work out quite so well. But, it's Super Retail Group, which made a new high here, and we saw Goodman making new highs and Wesfarmers, and it went on and looked beautiful through here. A nice big jump here, a nice big jump here. Came back a little bit, then jumped at the highs again, and we're still pretty confident. But then all of a sudden this happens. And it's not a disaster, it happens. Okay, the thing about this is, when these things happen, we need to be able to deal with them appropriately, okay? So in this instance here, normally my maximum loss is 15%, or my risk is about 15%, and that's what I try and keep to most of the time. Sometimes slippage takes me outside of that, but generally it's below 15%. In this situation here, despite the big fall the Super Retail did from above $18 to just above $15, we've taken a $12 hit on this one. But the important thing is, when this happens, at this point here, I get out of this market because I want to turn neutral, because I'm not too sure what's happened. The trending situation has failed. My stop has gone off, so I cut my loss now. This is reality. Now, I'm now quite psychologically sound. I'm not sitting here carrying a loss thinking what's going to happen next. I've moved out of the stock and I've moved on already. I'm not even considering what this is. I've taken a $12 hit, and that's fine. When I consider what's happened with Goodman Group and Wesfarmers and other stocks like Pro Medicus and T&E, my profits are really good at the moment. So a little loss here and there is not going to make any difference to my returns that much. So, but this is the reality, and the reality is you must use the trailing stop. When it gets hit, you must get out and not say, well, I'll hang on for another week, which is always the enticement sometimes to do that sort of thing, but you can't. And you can see here, something's actually happened here. All of a sudden, these sellers have just bailed. Momentum's just totally died out of it. It really is, the risk really looks to me to be on the downside for Super Retail Group. It's a good quality stock, but good quality stocks don't go one way all the time. They can go both ways. So we just can be a little bit careful. We've got to handle these things properly. Okay, now let's get on to sunnier pastures for us, okay? So let's have a look at Rhea Group, okay, which has done really well. And again, is this going to be one of these stocks that's going to do it? Because certainly what has happened, we've seen an all-time high being made here. We've made the new high at just above 170. It's now $235 and rising. We've got some great volume here. We've got some great momentum. Who knows where this stock could be? It could go to $300. It could go to $250. I really don't know. But I will be following this with my stop loss, because it does those two things. It protects me from a loss and also locks in my profits, what I've got. And they'll all take on different shapes and sizes, and never one size one shoe fits all, because it's just the way markets do it. As I said, the macro picture is similar, but the micro picture is always a little bit different. So for regroup, we just be patient with this one and let this unfold. It's very strong at the moment, and hopefully it will continue to do, and then we can lock in more profit. Okay, so that's regroup. We could also talk about stocks like, I say, Technology One, which is going through the roof, as is Pro Medicus. IAG is a steady trender. Then we could look at a stock like CBA, which has got everyone totally baffled. But we had a beautiful breakout of a very big consolidation pattern here. It broke to new highs above 110, above 108. It's now $145 and making new highs. Okay, so really, when I look at this stock here, all I've done is, when I break out, I get a signal, I follow the trend with my stop loss, and I'm showing you my stop loss here today. You can see that's just there. It will probably rise a bit this week if we make a new high again. But realistically, when you see this here, there would seem to be every reason not to hold this stock. Valuations, all sorts of things, the brokers are lightening off, whatever. Apart from the fact the stock is going higher, which is what I do, which is I follow the trend. So I'm not really concerned about valuations or reasons, and why should I be? Because the market does not respect those things very much at all. It will go where it wants to go to, and CBA is making new highs, and I'm still on the stock, and that's where I want to be, because it's still trending. When the stop goes off, I will lock in that profit and move aside. But for the moment, it's still going higher. So that's CBA, which has been a great stock for us. Now, another one here is JB Hi-Fi, which I've looked at. I've shown you a couple of just recently, this one. But what I like about this one at the moment, and we look at this, all we've done is taken a new high. All I've done is simple new high, buy it when it makes the break, okay? And it's a new all-time high as well, which is even better. So it rallied. It's gone sideways, but this again has shown exceptionally good underlying strength and demand. Even when the sellers hit this stock here, the market didn't come down. It then went a bit quiet all of a sudden, and now all of a sudden, these buyers getting a bit of confidence back in again, a bit of fresh demand, a bit of renewed confidence coming back into the stock, starting to make a new high and looking good again. So again, as I asked the question, is this a $100 stock? We don't know. Is it a $150 stock? We don't know. But we just simply follow the trends. Okay, so everything is looking good here. The momentum is very powerful. Volume is fine. It's above the average, and price is breaking new highs. So, in this instance here, I have a trailing stop. I haven't got it on here. If you want to look at all my trailing stops and where they are, you need to go to Stockradar. They are the domain of my members, and that's who I look after, the people that pay my bills and pay for subscriptions. They're the people that I look after. So I'm quite happy to show you a few things about how and what I do, but the real guts of it, how my stops move and things like that, when I enter stocks, is really all the domain of my members. So that's, if you want to get hold of all that, you need to take up a subscription. Okay, so that's all the stocks I really wanted to go through for you today. I just want a little mention of a couple of slides here. Again, the trailing stop really is a gift to us all. As I said, it cuts our losses and runs our profits, and that's what we want it to do. But the thing is, there's one little proviso. We must listen and we must act on it, and that's the discipline. It's about what I talk about in my newsletter last week, about us making those right choices when we should be making those right choices. And if we do that, we will suddenly become a consistently more profitable trader. There are certain things that all the good traders live by, certain basic rules. Trailing stop is one of mine, and risk management. In fact, risk management is a common denominator throughout just about every professional trader in this world. So that's what I do with my trailing stop. I manage my losses and I manage my profits. It doesn't mean I'm going to get the top or the bottom, because that's not really what I'm all about. It's just a matter of making a return on your investment. Okay, so that's about all I've got for today. I am going to be away for 3 weeks. I'm going camping, surfing, swimming for 3 weeks up the New South Wales coast. There'll be no YouTube videos for 3 weeks. I'll be back in December with renewed vigour and be fresh again. But I am going to take some time out for the moment. But you can always still subscribe. I will be updating the website on a weekly basis. So that'll be there for members. Again, you can still go and check out my blog, take a free trial for the next couple of weeks, because things will be updated. And you could have a good look at the trading centre, see where all those stops are there and how they move, and when I enter and when I exit. All the good stuff is all there for you to have a good look at. Okay, so the main thing is the trailing stop is a free tool that we all have, and used properly, it will cut your losses and lock in your profits. It's just a matter of doing it right, okay? It's a simple process of running the ones that are hot and cutting the ones that are not. That's about it. That's about all I really do, okay? What goes on in the world is a whole other issue, and we know things are interesting at the moment. So watch your trends, hedge your stops, stay safe, make sure you have a lot of fun with this market because it is a lot of fun place to be, and I'll see you in about 3 weeks' time. Thanks very much.